Secretary of State, I'd like to start with you and just to ask you what your priorities are in terms of the cultural policies of this country.
My priority is making sure that our creative industries, our cultural and our heritage sectors get the support that they need. I think what we have to do is really continue what we've started, which is to give the sort of practical support so that organisations can be even more effective at setting up things like endowments, and that's why we've had our fund of £30 million to help the industry tool up to be able to access that money more effectively. I think we've got to acknowledge we are in a very difficult economic situation, but that doesn't mean to say that we shouldn't be looking for new ways to try and make sure that the right level of funding is available, and that's why one of our priorities continues to be the important role of philanthropy in making sure that we continue to have a world leader status, and looking for new ways to develop philanthropy into the future, I think is really at the heart of what I'm going to be doing.
The word philanthropy has been used a lot, and I would argue that it is not necessarily the right word. Our arts and business, we always believe the word investment rather than philanthropy is more illustrative of the nature of the relationship and the mindset that the cultural organisation has to have when it goes into that relationship. Philanthropy
isn't just there for the money that comes in, it's also that emotional connection that people get from being involved in an organisation. And I think there is some worrying evidence that if people aren't involved in either in volunteering or in giving in some way, that they can get that disconnect. And I think that really, I don't think we should see this as a insurmountable problem. I think we should see it as a real challenge.
In one sense, declining public investment, of course, makes a very strong ask to those who we want to support the arts. Look, we want to keep our organisation doing all the fantastic work it's been doing. There isn't as much money from the public purse, therefore, will you help us? But at the same time as we are gearing up to do this better, of course, a whole range of other charities are. We're all competing for funds and we're all competing for the same people.
What we have to do is engage more people in the notion that giving is part of what they need to be doing. But equally, we need to get the organisations involved better at asking more effectively.
For the Secretary of State, as a first real meeting with a broad group of people with different levels of interest, I thought it was actually a very engaged, a very energetic meeting. So I think, one of the things that we need to do is, some of it's education. It's the way people give. It's creating role models, and then it's also in terms of the government itself. I think in terms of that, working with the private sector, let's talk about what that bridge, the public to private bridge needs to be, and what the time frame for that is, and how we get there. So I think to me those are some of the key things.
Certainly the message is very clear. If anyone was hoping for a change of direction, it's not going to happen. The role of the private sector is seen as a central part to the development of growth in the cultural sector, and that is clearly the message she is also delivering. I would like to see a more active role from the government in terms of supporting and encouraging business engagement in culture, because I think that's a central role to developing a more sustainable income stream for the arts.